I wanted to be a leader so that I could get things done. At school, my schoolmates had readily accepted me in this role, but older people did not take me as seriously as I wanted them to. I decided that the only way I could get them to listen to my ideas and opinions was to improve my credentials. The key was a university degree, as graduates were a rarity then. Dr. Mahathir recalled his childhood memory of looking at his future ambitious career in A Doctor in the House. His desire to become a leader took its course of direction in 1958 when he was appointed as Kedah UMNO committee member. Since then, he worked hard to develop his leadership skills and credentials through independent self-directed learning. He must have developed a good reading habit and meticulous observation to gain adequate knowledge and skills in leadership. He was also a creative and visionary, as proven through his proposal to Kedah UMNO for the improvement of selection standard for election candidates. He had seen the importance of UMNO to have more educated leaders than popular ones. Dr. Mahathir had learned more about leadership when his proposal was rejected and the committee he led was dissolved by the Tunku. For him, it was only a learning process. His persistence to learn paid off when he was selected as an UMNO and the Alliance Party candidate in 1964 general election. Luck was with him. He won the election comfortably. The 1964 to 1969 parliamentary term was the most memorable experience for him as a new politician. Throughout this period, he had developed more leadership skills. Imminent opportunities were open in front of him. His future political career looks brighter as he had made great progress and significant contribution towards the party and the country. He was appointed as a member of the UMNO Supreme Council in 1965, and almost immediately the grassroots support increased tremendously. Unfortunately, while he was climbing up, the result of the 1969 general election pulled him down. His courage to challenge the Tunku resulted in his expulsion from UMNO. Slowly, his childhood dream vanished in the thin air. In politics, fame will always accompany power and position. Politicians become famous because they work hard to secure the position, which is the source of power. People, especially their supporters, will look them up as long as they are in their position. Once they were no longer in their position and having no power to influence things, their fame will also vanish away. People will distance away, and what left may be their close friends and family members. Dr. Mahathir is an ordinary politician and a young leader when he was expelled from UMNO. His 5-year service as people's representative and a member of parliament almost disremembered. And quickly people shied away from him. Dr. Mahathir recalled, "After 5 years as a member of parliament from 1964 to 1969, I had grown used to having frequent visitors to my house. But the constant stream of UMNO members and people from my constituency of Kota Star Selatan ceased abruptly after I was expelled from the party." Dr. Mahathir did understand this culture of impermanent fame, but what he could not bear is to be expelled from UMNO and banished away from politics. This means losing the opportunity to influence people and events. He wrote, "I was made persona non grata twice in my political career. The first time in 1969 and the second in 2003 when I stepped down as Prime Minister. But the harder of the two was my expulsion from UMNO." The expulsion made Dr. Mahathir famous both from the bright side as well as the dark side. For many, especially his supporters and UMNO youth leaders, he is a hero. But for the Tunku and his comrades, he is a troublesome young Turk. Some opposition leaders were backing him, and yet some, especially leaders of the Chinese-based parties, who discontented with his voice of championing the Malay cause, were joyful. His account of living in the political wilderness and challenges to reclaim political leadership is so valuable for young leaders to learn about. Few leaders in the world who had such great learning experience. Dr. Mahathir is one of them. 4 chapters, chapter 16, 17, 18 and 19 in A Doctor in the House are dedicated to Dr. Mahathir's experience of living in the political wilderness. He was expelled from UMNO on September 27, 1969 and readmitted on March the 8th, 1972. A painful 2 years, 5 months and 10 days experience. It was not a short period for an ambitious person like Dr. Mahathir. If we are at his position, we must have been thinking that each passing day, our ambition to become a leader would slowly be taken away. But for Dr. Mahathir, everything seems to be prepared to let him learn leadership in a hard way. It was problem-based learning. This is a long and painful learning experience for Dr. Mahathir during his early political career. However, he had shown a strong will to continue the service to the people, albeit having difficulties to appear in public. He was invited to share ideas and views with UMNO youth, and occasionally people visited him to discuss issues related to the Malay cause. Some of his observation and experience of meeting the people revealed that many Malays were afraid to voice and share their views about their very own predicaments. Some were afraid of losing their position, and some may be trapped into their idols of mind. There was a time when news came of the Tunku's administration plan to detain him under the Internal Security Act, or ISA. Sometime after the expulsion, he noticed a suspicious car drove back and forth at times parked in front of his residence. He suspected the special branch officers spying his daily activities and possibly waiting for further instruction to detain him. Looking back, it was a distressful moment for him. 2 months after the expulsion, he visited Kuala Lumpur to meet his good friend Tunku Abdul Rahman, the Member of Parliament for Rawang. Arriving at the railway station on his way for the first visit, he spotted some suspicious men keeping a weather eye on his presence. The situation alerted him of the possible detention, but it did not happen. Feeling relief, he continued his visit to Kuala Lumpur and more often to see friends, discuss and share their views on many issues. Tunku Abdullah, who was a close friend of him, maintained their good relationship openly despite the threat of ISA detention. Sometime during that period of a suspicious ISA detention, an American visiting professor at the University of Malaya, Carl von Voris, visited him at the home in Kedah. Voris warned him over the high possibility of a detention. If it happens, it could be more than 2 years. This triggered a distressful situation for him, not because of the fear of detention, but the deprived of his freedom to continue the mission to return to politics and fight for the Malay cause. Without any sign of returning to politics, he turned the focus to his job at the clinic and family matters, attending patients and consulting people's health problems as well as his family members, especially Asmah and the children. He also explored in various kinds of new hobbies. Occasionally, the press contacted him asking about his possibility of returning to UMNO. He denied any attention, but deep in his heart, he is disappointed for not having any platform to share his views. In the meantime, he continued to observe the current development in Malaysian politics as well as reflected upon his understanding of the politics. He realized that politics is not solely about gaining power but to serve, to improve the living condition of the people and to change for a better future. Malaysia should not have a single race politics. All races should have their parts in politics and work together to develop this country. Since the beginning of his political career, he rejected the so-called Islamic political idea of PAS, which intended to make this country a single race and single religious domination. For him, PAS is a political party, not a religion. Rejecting PAS does not infer the disrespect to Islam. Inside and outside UMNO, Dr. Mahathir always reject PAS. Unfortunately, left without any platform to share his views during the political exile, he decided to speak at PAS Kapar by-election campaign in April 1971. Participating in PAS by-election campaign does not erase his affection towards UMNO. The party is always in his heart. He kept his eyes on the current emerging issues in UMNO and the country through newspaper. The issues were all tempted to his enjoyment of writing and sharing his perspective. However, he knew for certain that no newspaper would dare to publish his writing. The Tunku's administration will most probably take stern action on them. He then started to spend an hour a day to write a book, The Malay Dilemma. The content is about the plight of the Malays, their backwardness and lack of government support to improve their social lives, economic sectors and business. After completing the manuscript, he faced difficulties to find publishers in Malaysia. Whether they are not interested or unwilling to risk their publication license, he had no idea about it. He then turned to Donald Moore in Singapore, who had shown a keen interest to publish. Soon after its publication, the book was banned by the Malaysian government. However, someone informed him of the book being referred by Tun Razak and his committee while drafting the new economic policy. The Malays' support grew towards him, but Dr. Mahathir was not in the mood to form a new party. In 1970, he witnessed the changing of power from the Tunku to Tun Razak. The Tunku, however, is still disappointed over Dr. Mahathir's criticism. Somewhere in his writings, the Tunku blamed Dr. Mahathir for causing the changes of public opinion towards him after May 13, 1969 tragedy. He had even accused Dr. Mahathir and Tun Razak of plotting a plan to force his resignation. Dr. Mahathir was highly anticipating that Tun Razak is going to be better than the Tunku. Most probably, Tun Razak will change the Tunku's pro-West policy to the non-aligned policy. Dr. Mahathir also learned from the writing of A. Samad Ismail in the Straits Times that UMNO is going to have a new course of direction. The UMNO leadership under Tun Razak was also moving towards a more transparent and responsive to new ideas. UMNO Youth Chief Datuk Harun Idris and his associates came to see Dr. Mahathir at his home in Kedah. They begged him to sign an apology letter to the Tunku and UMNO so that he can return to the party. Dr. Mahathir rejected their demand and stood firm on his decision. He believed he had nothing to apologize and strongly felt that apology will only mean losing all of its credibility. For Dr. Mahathir, if he ever wanted to return to UMNO, he would like to see significant changes in the party and the government, particularly concerning efforts and new policies to elevate the socio-economic status of the Malays. Tun Razak's strong will to implement new economic policy attracted Dr. Mahathir and prompted his desire to return to UMNO, but he is still uncertain about it. In July 1971, he met Tun Razak in person. Soon, his desire to join UMNO became stronger. Since the publication of the Malay Dilemma, Dr. Mahathir has become increasingly popular. Invitation to give talks poured in. He used this opportunity to share his views on many issues, including the urbanization and its impact upon the Malays, excessive use of machinery in an industry that caused unemployment, national policy and trends, international and regional strategic issues such as security. In the meantime, Tun Razak had shown his great interest in gathering the political strength outside UMNO to join the Alliance Party coalition. Dr. Mahathir praised his mentor over this brilliant idea. Unfortunately, many Malays were disturbed by Tun Razak's move to invite Gerakan, a Chinese-dominant and opposition party, to join the alliance. Dr. Mahathir did not hesitate to defend Tun Razak's move, although he is not yet an UMNO member. He had seen some Malay leaders were playing the race card to fuel the anger and trigger the conflicts. They did not appreciate the idea of multiracial cooperation and peaceful power sharing. As opposed to Tun Razak's view, some powerful UMNO leaders did not want Dr. Mahathir to return to UMNO. However, Tun Razak had already announced in June 1971 that UMNO is open for everyone, including Dr. Mahathir. Dr. Mahathir then planned his readmission into UMNO. He applied for the membership through the Rawang UMNO division but was rejected since he has to go through the disciplinary committee and the Supreme Council. He then applied through the Kota Star UMNO division and also wrote a letter of intent to Tun Razak on February 6, 1972. The application went through the disciplinary committee chaired by Tun Dr. Ismail, and finally Dr. Mahathir was accepted as UMNO member again. He said, "The politicking began immediately. His re-entering into UMNO seemed to trigger political worries."